A strong scholarship essay is critical for standing out when it comes to our applications. For many high school students, the essay portion is the worst part for them, and they really struggle with writing these. The challenge is that scholarship essays aren't just, say, like a history paper where we just literally have to rattle off facts and make it flow. So if your student is in high school and they're struggling with those scholarship essays, or really if they're in college as well, then I've got some tips for you today. Now make sure you hit subscribe because every week we release a new strategy to help your family work towards a debt-free degree. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System, where we redefine paying for college to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones buried in debt. And we've helped families secure well over $12.2 million in scholarships. So we have learned a lot when it comes to writing a winning essay. Now, when it comes to increasing our chances of winning scholarships, yes, that's a thing. That's literally what we do with the scholarship system. There are two main areas that I see families struggle in. First and foremost is building a list of legitimate scholarships. They apply to the wrong ones. Students focus on the wrong ones. We don't want that to happen because then we're just wasting our time. So if you want to learn how to build a list of legitimate scholarships with less competition and help your student in that area, then check out my free webinar at the link in the bio, or you can go to thescholarshipsystem.com/free training. By the way, all the free resources I'll be mentioning will be linked in the description. Now, the second area that I see holding students back is the essay. If it is a legitimate scholarship, 9 out of 10 will require at least one essay, if not multiple. They carry a ton of weight when it comes to deciding who will receive the money. But the thing is, some of these scholarships are receiving hundreds, if not thousands of applicants. So how can we help our students stand out? The scholarship application, it'll typically ask about grades, accomplishments, community involvements, aspirations. All of that will be great, but will they remember your student's resume? Chances are no. Instead, what we need is the essay to be something that they can hold on to, that they can remember when they're deciding on their winner. This is where the essay, an excellent scholarship application essay, really becomes a necessity and the key to winning the money. Now, in the scholarship system course, we have tons of examples, tons of common essay prompts, all of that stuff. So you can learn about that again in the description. I also have an entire video that is more focused on the formatting of an essay. So we will link to that in the description as well. But let me break it down into three main areas that will sound similar to a history paper: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. But let me show you how they differ in a scholarship application. So when it comes to the introduction for a scholarship essay, this is extremely, extremely important. We have to nail it right off the beginning. If we restate the prompt, hint, hint, don't do that. If we restate the prompt, we're going to sound like all of the other students that don't know any better, and it won't be memorable at all. I know in school we're taught restate the prompt and then answer the question. We don't want to do that here. What do we want to do? We want to create a dynamic attention opening. Let me show you. Common essay prompt could be, what do you want to be and why? Your student could say, I want to be an operations engineer or an operations manager, and I want to attend this school to get my degree in it because they're top in that area. Or a student can say, as the oldest of 5 children, I often found ways to make us more efficient. I would line my siblings up in a line to help get all the groceries from the car to the front door. Little did I know I was creating my first assembly line. This was the beginning of my desire to become an operations engineer or an operations manager. You see? Now, that can be slimmed down into 1 or 2 sentences if the word count is little. But now I'm going to remember, oh, wasn't that the one that lined up their siblings? I'm not going to remember anything from that first version. Again, if you want more examples, we have tons inside the scholarship system course. But that is a perfect example where I can remember as a committee member the story that the student told. Okay, then we get into the body. What we want to do is sketch this out with a few main points. So prove our point, maybe come up with another little story and an example, or a quality and an example, or a value and an example, but we can do maybe 2, 3 in there. But we don't want to just restate our resume and rattle off a million of our accolades. We want to stick to the subject. If you're reviewing your student's essay, one thing you can see is read it out loud and try to guess what the essay prompt is. If you have no clue what the prompt is, then they probably are throwing stuff in there that doesn't need to be in there, or they need to really dial in on whatever the answer to the prompt is. Okay, the third part is the conclusion, which is your student's final chance to make a lasting impression. We want to make this memorable. Maybe we can tie it back into the story, or maybe we can come up with one more cute story and tie it back into the prompt. But we do want to show that we answered the prompt without necessarily restating it, but we can get a little closer to restating the prompt at the end. Okay, so that's the main structure. And as you can see, it is still an intro, body, and a conclusion, but it is unique from, say, a history paper that we write in school. Now, we also want to make sure that we don't rush throughout writing our essays. So if your student is just trying to get to the point and they're not really creating any or writing anything creative around it, then unless the word count is very small and it's difficult to get any kind of fluff in there, we want to make it interesting. We don't want to leave it bare. So have them take the time to think through some stories that can go with this and make it a little bit more personal and memorable. Now, the other key tip with writing scholarship essays, especially for high school students, is to proofread. I love using tools like Grammarly, but we always want to get a few set of eyes on the essay. So if you're proofreading your students' essays as a parent, maybe ask them to ask their English teacher or English professor to take a look as well. Now, in the scholarship system, we actually do essay reviews, and it goes far beyond grammatical corrections, but grammar is going to be a huge hang up if it literally stops a judge in their tracks when reading it because it's missing a comma or a misspelled word. We don't want that distraction from our story. Okay, one other point with this is make sure your student does not use AI to write their essay. We at the scholarship system have been giving out scholarships for nearly a decade now, every single year, and we are now running the essays through AI checkers. Do not let your student use AI to write their essays. I have an entire video all about using AI with scholarship essays. You can check that out again in the description. Now, again, we cover writing scholarship essays in depth in the course because this is the most important aspect of winning scholarships. So you can learn more about that at the link in the bio. We have a link to the course, but we also have a link to a free webinar that I keep mentioning, and I explain the course a little bit in more detail in that training as well at the end. Now, comment below, what is an essay prompt that your student is working on or that your student has seen a lot of and that they're struggling with? Maybe we can brainstorm some ideas together on how to respond to it. All right, so there you have it. Lots of different tips when it comes to scholarship essays. If your student has not seen this, then make sure you send it their way because I know that they'll gain something from this video. And again, remember that this is just one strategy of many that we have. So make sure you hit subscribe because every week we release a new video to help your family work towards a debt-free degree. All right, I'll see you there.